What's going on YouTube? So in a world where the average new car now costs about $50,000, this all-new Toyota CHR offers a pretty stylish package starting at just $37,000. That's right, today we have the new CHR in its base SE trim level, and we want to check out just how much is it delivering for that base price. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's get things started here with a quick spec dump. So this CHR is powered by a 74.7 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack and dual motor all-wheel drive, making 338 horsepower. The estimated range for this model XSE is 273 miles.
Now the base price for the CHR for 2026 is $37,000. And if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price.
Now, of course, we're going to be covering all types of details with this vehicle today, but first up, let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can take a look at the stylish exterior. So let's jump right into the exterior. Now, like I was saying, this is a pretty stylish vehicle. Toyota really focused a lot on making this have a sporty and aggressive look, and I think that's why the base trim is the SE. So even that base model is going to give you all that same aggression as the XSE, the top trim. So you'll see up here in the front, we have a pretty simple grille. The lower fascia, though, is pretty aggressive with a mesh design, and then you have blacked out badging all around the vehicle, even here on this base trim level. As far as the lighting is concerned, it kind of goes right in from the grille into the lights. This is our daytime running light and turn signal indicator up here, and then separated down below is our headlight unit. This is a projector LED, which is again exactly the same as what you get on the loaded XSE trim level. And then as we move around to the wheels, this is one of the main places where you might be able to tell which trim is which, and that's because the SE has a smaller wheel size. So this is an 18-inch alloy wheel. It also comes with this kind of cover over top of it to help with aerodynamics. I'll talk more about that later on, but the SE trim does get better range, and this is probably part of that equation. You have a little bit of cladding through here. As we move up here to our mirrors, these are also finished in gloss black. This has a lot of nice standard features, including heating, blind spot monitoring, and even power folding.
Here at the side of the all-new CHR, it's going to have a length of about 177.9 inches, which is a lot longer than the previous generation CHR, but just a little bit shy of that all-new RAV4. Now, as far as some SE-specific features here at the side, it's going to share a lot of the same like gloss black window trim elements, the cladding down here at the bottom, but one thing that you cannot get on this SE trim level is the gloss black painted roof. That's something that is exclusive to the XSE trim. And I will also mention this is one of the new colors for the CHR model. It's called Overcast. I like it. It has a lot of depth to it. But as we head around to the rear here, you're going to continue to see the very sloping roof line that the CHR has become known for. And I do want to mention real quick, if you want to see all of the in-depth details of the CHR, we have done a full review already on the top XSE model, where you go through all of the individual features and details. We want to focus mainly today on this SE. Now back to this model, you do have the dual spoiler setup, and that flows right into these full-length LED taillights. They're nice and premium. Every single element will be LED, your brake light as well as your turn signal indicator, and then you have your LED reverse light as well. All of your badging will still be black for this model, which I really like. And this portion is also going to be body color here on this model. It was gloss black on the XSE that we had earlier. Here at the bottom is going to look pretty much the same. A lot of matte black plastic, a little bit of an aggressive look, and this model is not rated to tow. And for safety systems, Toyota is going to give you all of your major active safety features as standard equipment for the CHR. Just know that you're going to miss out on things like the traffic jam assistant as well as the lane change assistant that comes only on the XSE. But guys, there are some SE exclusive elements that come on the interior as well, so let's dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12 and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point. No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now on to the inside. Here's our Toyota key fob. It's just the typical Toyota key fob, nothing special about it, but you do have standard smart entry. And getting inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unfold those mirrors that I was mentioning earlier. And then checking out the inside, we have a pretty futuristic overall design, just like with the exterior. And I'll start the tour by talking about the seats. So the SE that we have here has a cloth seat, mostly. So as you can see, all this center section here is a black cloth, and then the outside edges will be trimmed in a black Softex with a color contrast stitching detail. I think overall these still look pretty nice, and the cloth itself is pretty high quality and feels like it will be durable. Just be aware that black's the only interior color you can get with this, whereas you can also get gray on the XSE. Down below, you'll still find an 8-way power seat, just no memory seats. And let's climb inside. Now, as far as other cabin materials are concerned, we've got kind of this cloth trim here with a soft suede-like material that's going to cover the armrest portion. Top part of the door trim is a soft touch plastic. Up top, we've got this interesting material, which is kind of rubber-like and has a texture to it. And then down in the center section, we have a soft touch plastic. All the lower panels are not going to be padded, but everything in here does feel pretty solid overall. And also, there's not a lot of piano black or anything since the center is covered with a gray material instead. We'll fire it up now with the push button start. Now, getting into some individual details of this interior. First of all, I just want to report in general, this vehicle offers a high level of standard features for that $37,000 price point. And you'll start to see that right here at the beginning. We've got the 7-inch digital gauge cluster. This is standard on all CHRs. You can customize this a few different ways. And as we come back to the steering wheel, we still have a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel design. I'm noticing we even have standard rain-sensing wipers. And the wheel itself, one of the only options that you can get on the SE is the heated steering wheel, and this is just a $100 option that we have equipped on today's model. Now, taking a look at interior storage, going to have a pretty good amount of storage. That's only half of it. You can remove this, well, or you can just drop it down there and we'll reveal the rest of the storage space. It's pretty deep overall, and this opens from both sides. Up in front of that, we have our 2 cup holders. Another nice standard feature is the fact you have 2 wireless phone charging pads, so you don't have to fight over that with your passenger. And then you still also have this giant passenger storage shelf. I'll just point out, like I did in the XSE review, we don't have a glove box, so you'll have to utilize the other storage cubbies in place of that. Now, as far as the shifter, it's a small and compact shifter. Press down for drive and over, and then you can go into reverse like that. When you do, this reveals our standard backup camera with active trajectory. A 360 camera is on the top model only. And just press that P there for park. You also have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. Now, as we continue on from that, next place you come to is the volume knob. The SE comes with a 6-speaker sound system. Let's hear if it's any good. I had to let the bass drop there a little bit to get a full sound sample. Overall, not a tremendous difference actually from the 9-speaker JBL sound system. So if you're looking to save a little bit of money, I would be totally fine with that sound system. All right. Another standard feature is the 14-inch display. This is basically straight from Lexus products because you can just kind of tell by the overall layout and the way that they have the climate controls down here at the bottom embedded into the screen itself. It's a dual zone automatic climate control system. Other climate functions are inside of there. Heated seats are standard, and that was the heated steering wheel I was mentioning earlier. Now, the rest of the display is Toyota's typical multimedia interface. It's not the very newest version, which is in the all-new RAV4, but it does still have all the main functionality, including wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, built-in navigation during your free subscription period. Up top, we have an auto-dimming mirror. We also have HomeLink universal remotes built into the bottom of that. I feel like my note said that they wasn't supposed to have that on this trim, but we do actually have that option. And then up top here, no sunroof on this model. It will be available on the XSE.
All right, so in the rear seats, is there anything that's majorly different on this SE versus the XSE model? Fortunately, the short answer is really no. There's just a couple little differences that we'll dive into, but one thing that doesn't change is the space. Sitting at about 32.2 inches of legroom, 37.5 inches of headroom. It's still gonna be smaller than some of the other compact or subcompact crossovers you might be cross-shopping with, and the thigh support is still lacking when it comes to other options you might be looking at. Fortunately, my seats do still recline, and I do have the center armrest here in the middle that folds down with 2 cup holders as well as a little phone cubby. Now, as far as the most major difference between this and the XSE model is that this cannot option on the heated rear seats that you can on the top model, but you still have vents as well as 2 USB-C ports. So that's really nice to see on this base $37,000 model. On the door trim, materials are a little bit cheaper. It's going to be hard touch here at the top, more of that suede cloth material in the center, and then you still have a good amount of bottle storage down in the bottom. Approaching the cargo area, you continue to have a standard power tailgate on all models, which is a nice convenience feature. And then opening up the tailgate itself, you're going to be greeted by, of course, the same amount of space. Sitting behind the second row of seats, you're going to be sitting about 25.3 cubic feet of space. And then when you fold that second row down, it's going to be sitting at 59.5 cubic feet. Now I can kind of reach back here behind the cargo handles and get the one seat down without totally wrecking the cargo cover that's installed. But you can see the seats are 40-60 split folding, and they do fold pretty flat with the loading floor. Now as a comparison point to the new RAV4, that's going to be about 10 cubic feet less. And if you are cross-shopping between any subcompact or compact crossover, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. On there, we've gone through and ranked all of these important segments based on categories that matter most to you, the crossover buyer. And so you can go on there and check out all of our tools and even sort through charts to rank it on categories that are most important to you. So check that out at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now back to the CHR. Since we do have the cargo cover installed, you can check out our full review for the full measurements, but I will grab you the basic length measurements here. Sitting at about 67 inches behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. Back behind the second row, sitting at about 33 inches of length. And as far as your width goes, it's a little bit on the narrow side like it was on the other model, about 36 inches. Like I said, the edges of this cargo hold kind of come in just a little bit. You still have an outlet back here as well, which is nice to power things up. And you do have space underneath the floor, but no spare tire.
All right, so now we pop the hood so we can go over some key specs with this CHR. This is powered by a 74.7 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack, and it has dual motor all-wheel drive. That is providing 338 horsepower. That means 0 to 60 on this model is an impressive 4.9 seconds, even on this base trim. Now, as far as some range figures you might be wondering about, this has 287 miles of range, which is the best in the 2 trim levels in the lineup for the CHR. Now, we're on a bit of a time constraint today, and we just wanted to keep this video pretty simple. So what we're gonna do now is insert our test drive of the XSE trim level. As far as the differences between them, they are exactly the same, except for the fact, of course, this has the smaller wheels, which means this rides a little bit better. But this test drive footage will give you a good picture of that overall performance and sporty dynamic you can expect from the CHR. All right, there we are, 60 miles an hour. Well, that certainly packs a punch.
A little bit downhill there, but still really impressive. That's the beauty of a powertrain like this. You get that instant acceleration right when you put your foot down on the throttle.
That's right. Looks like we have a little bit of a straighter and flatter space, so let's try it again. All right. Yeah, no, that's really nice. Definitely pushes you back in your seat. as you'd expect when you're talking about 338 horsepower from a relatively small crossover. So let's get into some of those specs we talked about earlier. This is a 74.7 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack, and the CHR just comes in one configuration, which is a dual motor all-wheel drive system, making 338 horsepower. So again, that's a lot of power for a pretty small body, and it propels this to 60 miles an hour in just under 5 seconds, so it's 4.9 seconds. And that's definitely enough to put a smile on your face.
Yeah, for sure. We've been comparing this to the all-new RAV4 throughout a lot of this review, and so if you might be comparing it to the hybrid or even the plug-in hybrid RAV4, this is going to be more horsepower, definitely going to be a lot more of a sporty acceleration as compared to those models, and because this is an all-electric product, it's going to be nice and silent when it does it. You don't have to worry about any transmission, ECVT growl, or anything like that. Now, I do also want to mention its platform mate, which is the all-new Subaru Uncharted real quick, because one thing that has that differs compared to this model is a front-wheel drive single-motor powertrain variation. That's something that, at least from the launch here in the US, the CHR will not get. So if that's something that you want, maybe a little bit of a lower price point with a little bit of a different power configuration, you can consider that model as well.
Yeah, Toyota said that previously, as in the previous generations of the CHR, having that front-wheel drive only was kind of a problem. So they wanted to do a different thing this time. They recognized that many Americans want all-wheel drive as well as having the extra power for the sport performance here. This certainly fits the bill. And of course, we talked a lot about how sporty this looks, but does it actually drive in a sporty way to back that up? Well, I'm happy to report as we kind of swing around some corners, yes, it does. This does feel like they're really emphasizing performance more so than in some of their past electric products. The overall body control is quite nice. Of course, you have that battery pack that's setting down low, helping you have a really nice and balanced feel as we go around the corners here. It keeps nice and flat. The steering is lightweight, but it's pretty responsive. You just turn a little off center and you get that immediate response. They could have maybe firmed it up a little bit with like a sport mode or something like that, but unfortunately we don't have that.
Yeah, that is just a little disappointing, especially down here next to some of these drive modes. You do have an extra little button where you could have put in a sport mode. Unfortunately, that's not something you're going to have on the CHR. I will also mention the seats have a good amount of bolstering as well that kind of help hold you in place. And also the suede material on the XSE will help you with that even more. Alright, so we are slowly accelerating up to 55 miles an hour here on a straight stretch of roads. Let's go ahead and get our sound level reading. $57.5 is what we settled in at for this all-new Toyota CHR, and I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of its rivals. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings to check that out. Now, while that is not the quietest sound level reading as far as EVs go, there's a wide range of variants from very expensive to not very expensive at all, but overall it's a pretty impressive sound level reading, especially considering we're out here in California. We're not at home in Kentucky right now, so this is not an official sound level reading, but I think that's honestly a really good performance for this CHR, especially considering the 20-inch alloy wheels we have on this model.
Right, and it might also have to do with how sleek the exterior design is, and also kind of related to that, I want to mention that the visibility in this model is pretty impressive. I thought looking at the outside that we'd have like very limited visibility, but I can see really well out the back window. The mirrors are nice and large and the side windows are still plenty big, so it feels a lot more spacious on the inside and while driving it than it looks like it would be on the outside. Now, we should probably also go ahead and talk about the ride quality since we've talked about the dynamics. So the XSE that we've been testing out today has the larger 20-inch alloy wheels, but the ride quality overall is still quite good. I think they've struck a good balance between giving you some performance dynamics, not going overly hardcore, and then also keeping a nice ride quality overall. When we go over large bumps, not too much of that actually penetrates into the cabin.
Yeah, and these seats also add a lot to that comfort factor up here in the front. These seats are really soft and plush. They hug you in really nice and tight, and I could definitely see doing some road tripping in this CHR.
That is, if the range of this product is enough for your road trips. We are setting at 287 miles of range as your maximum. That's with the SE trim level. If you get the XSE with the larger wheels, it's going to limit it just a little bit, take you to 273. So overall, obviously there are going to be other electric products that offer you more sheer range. That being said, this is a smaller body overall, so that's pretty good range for the size of the battery pack.
Yeah, if you're comparing this to things like the also new Nissan Leaf, that is going to be pretty impressive, especially with the standard all-wheel drive that this model offers. And of course, if you're comparing to things like the RAV4, that's of course going to be significantly less range when it comes to the hybrid and plug-in hybrid variants. Now, when it comes to charging this model, how is it going to stack up? Well, it's honestly pretty impressive. The CHR starts right off with the NACS charging port now. That is also going to come with some adapters as well. And when it comes to your actual levels, when it comes to fast charging, is a maximum speed of about 150 kilowatts, which can get you from about 10 to 80% in 30 minutes. You also have an onboard 11 kilowatt charger when it comes to charging at home as well. And finally, let's dive into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball. I will start us out with the Slam Dunk. Overall, we're really impressed with the packaging on this all-new CHR. For an MSRP on all models starting under $40,000, I think you're going to be quite impressed with the standard features you get, the packaging, the style. Overall, I'm really pleasantly surprised with how Toyota has managed to package this and keep it at a really pretty affordable price.
Right. But one thing I think a lot of people are going to be missing, and that's today's Airball, is the fact that we don't have an available hybrid powertrain. So for those of you who don't know, this model is actually sold in other places as a hybrid, but here in the US, we're only getting, as of now at least, the electric powertrain. And I think there's going to be a lot of you guys watching this video who really just want the hybrid model because you like the style, you like the packaging, you like the price point, but you don't really want to have a full EV at this time. And I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity from Toyota's perspective to not offer this as a hybrid.
Now it's time to talk pricing. So yes, we could smell your comments a mile away when we said it at the beginning of the video, but yes, $37,000 as a starting price is pretty dang cheap nowadays when you consider the fact that your average new car transaction price is well approaching $50,000 and will probably be over it here very soon. So when you consider that this SE model starts at $37,000, the XSE starts at $39,000, and then when you have all the options that we have on here today, which is only $100 for the heated steering wheel, add your destination, sitting at a grand total of $38,550 for this model. So the fact that you can get this fully loaded base model for under 40 grand, I think that's a pretty good deal nowadays considering the powertrain specs of this model as well. Now, if you're concerned about where this model is made, it's made in Japan. And if you're looking to buy a Toyota CHR or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. On there, you can get access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. You can also access things like a monthly payment tool as well. So if you'd like to check that out, we have a pinned comment at the top of this video, as well as a link in the description. But buying a car is a lot more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale, reliability, and the warranty. Let's start with resale value. After 5 years and 60,000 miles, this Toyota will be worth about 64.5% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, about 41.4% of original MSRP. Now, that is one of the best resale value averages in the entire auto industry. Just keep in mind that since this is an EV product, that might positively or negatively impact its value based on current market conditions.
Now, also impressive is Toyota's overall reliability rating. When we factor in the latest data, Toyota is rated as the #1 overall brand compared to other automakers.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our resale and reliability data, as well as our methodology, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Now, another important part of your vehicle purchase is your warranty. You're going to be protected by a 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranty, a 8-year 100,000 mile battery componentry warranty, and then Toyota also provides 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed this quick walk around of the all-new Toyota CHR in its base SE trim level. If you want to check out all of the specs on this model, we once again want to encourage you to go watch that full-length review that is already on the channel live, where we go through the top-end XSE model and go into all of the nitty-gritty details that you might be curious about. If you enjoyed this review and found it helpful, we would appreciate it if you subscribe down below. That helps us come out to beautiful sunny California and access some of the latest and greatest rides to test out. If you're already a subscriber and fan, we thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.